why it's such a great opening scene. This is what the show is. You're either in or you're out.
It's kind of like a buckle up.
Buckle up, buckaroo. Today, Mikaela, we're gonna be ranking our top 5 favorite scenes in the hit Amazon series, The Boys.
The Boys.
The Boys. I can't wait for season 3 to come out. That might be why we're doing this episode. Great show. What's your number 5 favorite scene?
My number 5 is actually like the opening scene to the show.
You're saying when the A-Train scene?
Yes.
That's my number 5 as well.
So A-Train, this very fast superhero who's basically like the equivalent to the Flash in a way.
Yeah.
There's a couple standing here. They're holding hands, having a cute moment.
You know, if we move in together.
What'd you just say?
You're getting to feel this character, and then bam! The girlfriend is gone. It's just like this absolute freight train just like runs through her, like through her body. What the just happened? I just turned this on.
Yeah.
And there's a girl who literally just exploded, and he's sitting there holding her hands. This is such a graphic show.
That's why it's such a great opening scene. I kind of feel like their version of being like, all right, this is what the show is. You're either in or you're out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a buckle up.
Buckle up, buckaroo.
So my number 4 is the scene where after all of the people who are against the Seven in the show, who's essentially the Avengers, they figure out like, hey, superheroes aren't natural, and they like break into this baby nursery where they're like injecting babies with superpowers.
Compound V.
Easy with that. You get some air in there, you could kill a kid.
Well, wouldn't that be a crime shine?
There's like a baby in this like little bed thing, and it just shoots lasers and hits the glass like it's a protective glass thing, and you're like, oh my god, this baby has superpowers.
Yeah, this baby's basically Homelander too. They're injecting him with Compound V.
This baby's gonna have crazy insane powers. So when all the security storms into the room, Billy Butcher gets this great idea to grab the baby out of the bassinet and just be like, all right, I'm gonna use you like a laser gun, and just holds the baby's head and just and like just kills all the security, evaporates them with the baby.
Holy that was diabolical.
It's like the perfect combination of like, it's dark and graphic like The Watchmen, but it's also like kind of Deadpool kick-ass, where it's like, there's also some up jokes. Like a lot of the really scenes are like weirdly funny.
Yeah, you're always calling people or but I never really got how that's an insult.
Okay, so my number 4 is in season 2 when Homelander goes to the 99th floor to meet with Stan Edgar, the CEO of Vought.
Morning, Homelander. To what do I owe the pleasure?
Can't not think that's Gustav Fring. He's Gustav Fring. Like, he's Gus. That scene, basically Homelander threatens, he's like, you know what? You hired Stormfront. I'm the king of this place. You didn't consult with me.
You run a superhero company and you never check in with your superheroes.
Maybe when my contract's up next year, I'll just leave.
Contract's up end of this year. Maybe it's time I move on.
I love that there's corporate superhero in the show.
Stan just shuts him down and is like, do you know the history of this company? And he goes through the whole history about how like Vought basically was a Nazi and he was in charge of like a concentration camp, and he's really up. We don't tell anyone, but yeah, we're a chemical company.
You are under a misconception that we are a superhero company. We are not. What we are, really, is a pharmaceutical company.
That's one of the many reasons why this show is so good.
Yeah.
What if superheroes were a business? What if this was a real thing? And what would a business that does that do? They would make movies so that they could sell merchandise because they're just trying to make money. Capitalism.
Capitalism. My number 3 is this scene where it's basically just a big girl fight.
There you are, you slippery little.
I love a good woman-led scene, of course.
Cut fight.
Girlfriends. But basically we have Starlight, who's like the new and upcoming superhero. She's like the good girl who just figured out that the whole system's corrupt.
Yeah.
And Maeve, the like second in command, who's like also good but like trying to figure it out, are up against Stormfront, who is the evil one.
The evil Nazi.
She has so much power because she's like the OG. And so it's just like a scene where they basically just like kick the shit out of her.
Yeah.
Until it's like she kind of like mercies and like pops up.
The other part of that scene that I love, but also I'm kind of like, what? Is they just start kind of like kicking her like they're jumping her in a playground.
Yeah, it's like they're superheroes and they're like literally like kicking on the
They're
floor.
like, what are you just kicking her? It's like, what about your superpower?
I guess when you all have powers, it's like, let's just resort back to the basics when it really comes down to it.
Let's get savage. My number 3 is the baby scene. That's one of the funniest like 1 minute.
It's like physical comedy.
We didn't know he was gonna do that, but I think everybody watching was like, he should grab the baby. That's how he gets out of here.
My number 2 is the scene where Homelander is on the roof with his son.
Okay, that's my number 2 as well.
Might be one of the hardest I've ever laughed, like the first time watching a scene ever. So this kid is like half human, half superhero.
It's Homelander's son.
Yeah, it's Homelander's son. They're standing on the roof and he's like, you can fly. And the kid's like, no, I can't.
Ready for what?
To jump.
He does the like, Dad,
I don't want to do this.
please, I really don't want to do this.
I don't want to jump off the roof. And then literally he just kind of gives him a little pat on the back and just pushes him off this like 20-foot roof and the kid just...
Another physical comedy thing.
Yeah.
Literally the kid just splats down, passes
And
out.
he's out.
Homelander's face when he sees him hit the ground, it's like you just pushed your son off a roof.
Yeah.
But he's right in the end.
The kid's fine.
He's fine. Look. See?
Homelander's like, yeah, he's invincible.
And look at him. There's not a scratch on him. You know why? Because he's my son.
My number 1 is this scene where Homelander basically like has some bad PR and like kind of up and there's like a protest against him.
Hey, everyone.
And he shows up to the protest, like takes the mic and, you know, is trying to convince the crowd, like, things happen, like we're all on the same team, trying to basically like do some control.
I just want you to know that I understand. I'm upset too.
How many times does a celebrity or a politician get in hot water and you're like, just shut up. Everything you say makes this worse. But if you were in their situation, you'd be like,
You want to defend yourself.
I can explain.
He shows up, tries to plead his case. Everyone in the crowd gets more pissed off at him.
You don't speak for us.
All of a sudden, his eyes light up and his lasers just like mow down everyone in the crowd. Like just
Unbelievable
mows-
shot, too.
Yeah, it like you get
aerial.
over, you see everyone running, and you just see everyone just plowed.
This is the first time Homelander's ever had like some bad PR and the public is kind of like, Homelander. And so when he does that, you're like, oh, it's over. Everybody now knows Homelander is bad. Okay, I guess this is the part of the series when inevitably they're all gonna realize that, but then
all of a sudden it just cuts back and it was like a dream in his head. And that scene reminds me so much of the scene in Twilight, Breaking Dawn Part 2. The dad, Carlisle, gets his like head cut off and everyone's like,
yeah.
and then it cuts to like, it was a dream.
So my number 1 scene is when Ashley officially takes over as PR.
I am gonna fill Miss Stillwell's shoes as best I can.
It's really happy. It's like, congratulations. You know, this is great. And she's like, I'm so excited. Thank you for helping me get this job. Happy. It's like a full 3-minute scene where she's like, oh, by the way, follow me.
Lead the way.
And they go into a room and there's Blindspot. He's a disabled superhero who can like throw knives, he can hear really well. He's basically Daredevil. And Homelander is like, wow, this is great. And then she says like, yeah, you know, this will do really well with millennials because it's a business. Homelander really cares about the business and clearly this seems like a great PR move. And he's like, just quick question, you know, with everything.
What happens if, I don't know, I do this?
And then he claps his head. I'm not sure if you're supposed to assume that Blindspot then dies later.
Or just goes deaf.
Or he's deaf,
but his ears are like bleeding.
They're like spurting blood. And then all of a sudden, he just the Homelander switch of, which by the way, I don't know why, this is a funny scene to me because of this after
Because
part.
it was just so aggressive out of nowhere.
He's like, and now you're just another blind guy.
No, you're just another useless blind guy.
And then he does the turn to Ashley, look at me. And he's like, you think I would ever, and he says cripple, which I know is offensive, but he's like, you think I would let a cripple in the 7?
What made you think I would ever allow a cripple into the 7, for sakes?
Like, it's just such a good show.
It is such a good show.
God, I can't wait for season 3. Did we miss any of your guys' favorite scenes? I'm sure we did. Here's the thing. They're very hard to just like kind of describe in a few words. Try your best in the comments.
Try your best.
And as always, head over to ranker.com. There are tons of the boys lists. And let us know which one of us you guys think made the best list.
See you later, alligators.
See you later, alligator.